Well, this video has been waiting to be edited now for about 3 months, and no matter what I do, I cannot seem to do this trip justice. So this is my attempt to put this video out there. It's a trip of a lifetime for me. I took a small airplane with a buddy of mine from Ohio. We departed out of southeastern Michigan and flew from Tango Tango Foxtrot, just south of Metro Detroit, all the way to Fairbanks and beyond. So we did a moose hunt together, and that was quite an adventure, to say the least. So I'm going to break this up into several pieces, and hopefully you can enjoy it. And I apologize because this does not even come close to doing this trip any justice. I really don't think any camera or any editor for that matter can do this trip any justice. So if you have any desire to go and see that country and make that flight, I recommend you do it. So and no matter how many YouTube videos you watch, they will not compare to the actual scenery that you're going to see. So we departed out of Custer Airport early in the morning as the sun was rising, and we went on our way. We got into a cloud layer. We had to stay in the try to stay above the cloud layer, and it kind of rose up, and we ended up flying in the clouds for about 2 or 3 hours until we reached close to our Minnesota stop, and then we stopped in Minnesota for fuel. But before we get to that point, the amount of preparation and planning on this trip was extensive. So that's the other thing that I recommend. Watch a lot of videos and plan your trip accordingly. So once we got to Minnesota, we filled up with fuel there. It was a short, brief stop, and I'm constantly planning my next flight. And our next leg was to Montana. Miles City, Montana. So that's where we filled out our EAPIS report, and I will be quiet and let the video take it from here.
Want to go into the FBO, get ready to cross the Canadian border. There's my pilot looking all relaxed.
Yeah. The Canadians were very friendly. We did not file our EAPIS properly. The Border Patrol, as you can see, was not much as far as that's concerned. The border was just a chain link fence up there. So we cleared in sweet grass, which is just a grass strip, and you go down to NL. So this is Lethbridge Airport. This is a nice airport, lots of security, lots of people. Very busy place. 9:30 at night, all the international flights coming in and out. Yep.
The last ones to arrive.
Yep. Now we wait for our shuttle or our Uber. Pretty nice facility.
Clean.
Very clean.
Day 2, Lethbridge, Canada. We're getting fuel in the morning. It's about 6:30. Cleaning windows. Fueling up. Gonna get some oxygen. Lake Sierra, headed to Alaska.
This was a short leg up to Fort St. John. You'll see Calgary and walk to Fort St. John.
We just landed in Fort St. John, British Columbia. Here we go, couple iconic bush planes. This one's on floats. There's Mark, we're getting oxygen. Getting ready to get out of here.
So after departing out of Fort St. John, that's when we really seen the wildfires that we all seen in the lower 48 in 2023, and lots of acreage of just wildfires. Now that's when we turned to go over top of some of the Rocky Mountains, and the views started to become extremely amazing, to say the least. So at this point we departed the road, and we were following the road. We departed the road and went ahead and moved more in a straight line over to Watson Lake, and so we crossed over the mountain terrain and the elevation here is not that extreme, so you can make it very comfortably. We had perfect weather. Winds were very calm, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. So the lake, just every time you turned, it was something more to see. So absolutely breathtaking. So then we come into Watson Lake. This is the landing at Watson Lake. What do you think, Nate?
I think that we're in the middle of nowhere.
This is the airport. They do have a tower here. First self-serve I've ever seen up in Canada. It's kind of nice if it works.
Second stop of the day. Get some avgas. Here we are, Watson Lake, British Columbia. There's the tower terminal. Just finished fueling up. There's our plane we filled up. I mean, there's our plane we filled up. That's the old girl. Go inside the terminal, find our pilot. Here's the inside of Watson Lake Terminal. Very nice set of scales. I think we have this whole building to ourselves. There's nobody here. Looks like it's pretty empty. I don't know where our pilot went.
What's going on?
You tell me.
You taking a video of that? This guy here, he's flying the jet. He's picking up his clients who just killed some nice stone sheep.
Yep. Yeah. Went out moose hunting over by, was it Scoop Lake? I don't know if you know where that's at.
Yeah, that must be
south of here.
Yep. We come right over some awesome country.
Okay, yeah. I landed that.
Well, this is Watson Lake. It's kind of a pretty place up in British Columbia. And there's my airplane. And this is where we'll be camping tonight. Not too shabby. And the reason we're camping here is because it's a nice place necessarily, but I can't get through customs because they closed. And you gotta wait till they open back up. So Northway does not clear people unless they have an appointment, and they do it 2 times a day, 3 and 4. So that's that. Made good time. We were gonna be in Alaska, but we missed it. This is our first unanticipated stop. This is a prime example why you should always bring a tent and some camping gear when flying in the backcountry off of the grid. So technically we probably could have found a motel at Watson Lake at some point, got a ride somehow, but it was starting to get pretty thin and pretty primitive up there. And you'll see in another video on the way home, we've had another unplanned stop for the night. So, but what a beautiful place to be. The loons were singing. It was absolutely gorgeous. Watson Lake is a very beautiful place. Lots of World War II history. You'll see the old hangar there and some of the pictures. Absolutely amazing place to stay.
Where are we at exactly? I can't remember. We're in is it
Watson Lake.
Watson Lake.
Yep.
Couldn't clear customs,
So we got stopped.
so
Not a bad stop, really.
yeah.
Loons are singing.
You can say we're stuck in the border of British Columbia and the Yukon. Or you can say
Yukon. Yukon Air.
yeah, Yukon Air right there. but it says BC in front of it. So, we're somewhere. We're gonna put the airplane to bed, and right here's home for the night. We'll see you sometime tomorrow.
So we woke up in the morning and had a little light breakfast, and then we departed. And I did one of the first dumb mistakes on the trip. I checked the oil, added another quart of oil, and I forgot to place the oil cap back on. And well, we departed away, and I started getting oil on my windscreen, and my heart stopped, and I realized what I did immediately, and we turned around and landed. So a big long cleanup and several, I think it was probably a 45-minute delay. We finally got all the oil cleaned back off, checked the oil level again, and secured the oil cap, and we were on our way. So I don't hope I'll never do that again. But then leaving, we went towards Whitehorse. We were angled towards Whitehorse. As you'll see, we get close to Whitehorse, and I just kind of cut cross country towards Tok. Our next stop was Tok. Customs will allow us to land in Tok for more fuel with no issue. So we already cleared that through with customs. And then you'll notice that in these photos that the cloud layer is definitely coming down. The nice weather that we had the day before started to evaporate on us. Very strong winds. We had a lot of turbulence in these mountains. So I avoided filing IFR and stayed on a VFR flight plan, which is another thing that's interesting in Canada. They want you to on a VFR flight plan, and that's not just flight following. That's actually a VFR flight plan. So that was news to me, and I had to learn that as we were there. I for whatever reason, I just figured we was on a flight plan when we were doing flight following, but they don't have the same procedures we do. This is where we get close to the Alaskan range. We could start seeing some beautiful country, and well, the whole place was beautiful all the way up through.
Well, folks, we finally made it to Alaska. We're at Tok Airport here in Tok, Alaska. Our fuel stop of the day. There's still a couple hours till we get to Fairbanks, but we are in Alaska.
One other thing I forgot to mention going into Tok, we got closer and there was a low layer of fog bank, like in really low IFR for the airports surrounding Tok. And so Northway is an airport that was socked completely in down to minimums. So as we got closer, I started to kind of get nervous, and because I didn't have enough fuel to go all the way back to Whitehorse. So our alternative plan was to go to Beaver Creek, land, let the fog burn off, and then try it again, which is a small little strip. There's no services there. Then as we come up the valley, you'll see here we had a strong tailwind, and that was a very gusty day, very bumpy day, but we had a real strong tailwind coming into Fairbanks. Then this is going into Fairbanks International. This is where we had to clear customs, and it took us, they came right out. They were very quick and efficient on clearing customs. So very friendly, very nice. And then when we cleared customs here, we had to bounce from just a short jaunt over to Metro Field where we were based for the trip.
All right, we made it. Fairbanks, Alaska, Shadow Aviation. There's November 180 Mike Sierra. There's our pilot. And there's our new ride. We're here safe and sound.
As you can see, we did the poor man's car rental, the U-Haul, especially with all of our gear. That worked out well, and we transported all of our gear into our motel, and then we went out and got a massive seafood dinner, which was absolutely phenomenal at the Chena Pump House. Then we began the task of reorganizing our gear because we flew our gear up in bulk. Now we needed to break it down. All right, Nate. What are you thinking?
I think it's about to get real.
Yep. everything with the kitchen sink, but we're here frying bacon, getting ready for a good breakfast.
We're out here at Metro Field, where Shadow Aviation is. Mark's warming up the plane, going to change the oil. There's our ride, gear, meat boxes. Sunday afternoon. Beautiful day in Fairbanks.
Okay, so we end up changing the oil of the airplane up in Fairbanks because we had so many hours on the engine going from southern Michigan to Fairbanks. And we started organizing some more gear, getting our rafts ready, getting our gear staged so we could prepare to break everything down, or have everything broke down, ready to go into the bush. We hung out at Metro Field most of the day Sunday, and it was just fun being around airplanes and just being around the field, watching them come and go. This is Andy coming in on floats. So then once we also were trying to resolve why my airplane was making metal. So we had a lot amount of aluminum in the oil. There'll be more on that to come. To this Sunday evening, we played the tourist. This was a great salmon bake. Actually, it was very good food. I highly recommend it. So yes, it's touristy, but it's very delicious. Next morning, we went to the cookie crumble, I think it is, and had some wonderful pancakes, cinnamon roll French toast pancakes. Then we got more coffee, of course, and then I started to tried to borescope and see if I could see any kind of damage on the cylinder walls. We had a mechanic look at it. We come up with a conclusion that there's no scoring, just keep flying. So more on that to come. Here we are doing laundry, more food, more breakfast, cinnamon roll French toast again. Highly recommend. Then we went back to the Chena Pump House, ate more seafood. The weather turned really raunchy for several days, so that's why we have so much time of going around and eating good food.
It's Wednesday, September 13th. We're still here at Metro Field in Fairbanks. We were supposed to be in the bush on Tuesday the 12th. Due to weather conditions, we have not left. Mark is doing a pre-flight. We are at least headed to Fort Yukon this morning. Going to do a couple shuttles, get all of our gear up there, hopefully get in the bush tonight. We're headed up there, way up north, up in the Alaskan range. So hopefully we're hunting today.
So I made several shuttle trips up to Fort Yukon to help Andy with gas and gear. So this is our first trip. There's the gold mine outside of Fairbanks. Here we are in Fort Yukon.
Well, made it to Fort Yukon. Mark's getting ready to take back off. He's headed back to Metro Field to go pick up another load. I got my raft, some gear over here, some gear right here. Welcome to Fort Yukon. Looks like people here in Alaska like Amazon too. Another plane just landed, unloading all kinds of groceries, alcohol. Guess it must take a lot to get through a winter.
So this is the flight back to Fairbanks to pick up more fuel and gear to shuttle back up to Fort Yukon to assist with Andy with getting in due to the weather delays we had earlier in the week. And then the country was beautiful both ways. The weather was starting to move in, so this is my last good trip in the weather.
There's the terminal, Fort Yukon. The restroom, the outhouse, an old telephone. Not much here. The bare necessities of that. Now, back to waiting.
That's my big ugly passenger. Got a bunch of fuel in here. We're loaded to the max. A little over max. And then we put the gas into Andy's 185 so we could get up to the lake. So this is where the hunt is actually beginning. And we fly into we moved all of our gear over, some of our gear for the trip into this flight, and Andy was able to get us into the lake where we portage our gear down to a stream, and then we start floating, pump up the rafts and float down. So there'll be another part to this series more about the hunt and the process of the hunt in a future video. So, but here we are transporting into the lake so we can begin our hunt. And there is a river bend close to the airport, so that's why I was able to land on wheels, transport everything over, and ride out on a float plane with Andy back to the lake. There's Cessna 1. There's my 180 right there. So very poor weather. It was rainy, but we finally got to the lake, and Andy dropped us off with some of our gear, enough gear to spend the night safely, or several nights safely, and then he would come back the following day for the rest of our gear. So, all right, this is where this video concludes. The next part will be the hunt, and then we'll have a third part, which will be the adventure home. So lots more on that to come. And again, I apologize for the terrible voiceover, and I'm not doing this trip any justice by this type of editing, but I don't know how else to do it because I did not get enough good audio during the process. So we'll work on that in the future. So, okay, till next time.